Hello everyone. Funny enough, two commentary videos left regarding the animation ones. But I've decided to do these last couple of animations as parts because the previous animations, they were quite significant at a point where they warranted their own space. But as you see at one time, because the title sequence I made in college was, I think still holds up quite well, but the that 3D sword was too little at a point where just drawing it in. And yeah, it's similar to the rest of these projects in parts as well. So yeah, to clarify, this is the official 3D animation submission, during my college days, and then I'll show you the first VR projects which I've done. Yeah, at the end of my college days as well. Because something I just realised is that I don't think all of the college the animation commentaries have been uploaded just yet. Because yeah, I do need to. Yeah, I think there's some that do need double checking on. So yeah, sorry. When I said it was too early, I meant to make left, not I literally do left to upload because yeah, there's still the rest of them, and like I said, it will then conclude in the animation ranking video. But anyway, so yeah, that's all of that explained. But yeah, I think we'll see where this is like in the time I'm of uploading, because I think the university VR one that commentary might have been before this video, considering these VR projects came before. But anyway, so we'll just focus on this, and I'll play this animation as as I start talking about this brief specifically. So yeah, each term in my college, so yeah, 2 years, 6 terms overall, and one of them was primarily 3D, and yeah, we're all taught yeah, all sorts of modelling bits and bobs, mainly around Autodesk Maya. And but one thing that we surprisingly didn't do an awful lot of is rigging or controlling a character rig. And so yeah, with the brief, it was essentially have an environment and have this character, and I think that was it. I think certain length as well. So there were just moments like that, and maybe the rendering might have needed to be something specific, but anyway, but yeah, those are like the moments and bobs. Um, but I think one thing worth addressing right now is that this rig was actually quite faulty, because when you because I'm not sure how many other places of education had to use this rig. It's quite I think it was like one that the educational services could easily like get hold of, or maybe they might have made it themselves and shared it. I'm not sure, but regardless, it was quite faulty to interact with, because even some of the when the others in the same class were using this rig, there was some cases where the rig was also an ambient occlusion render, like the white surroundings here, which it actually looked quite all right, but it's just for that to be one of the errors, yeah, just go show that something wasn't quite right with the rig. But it wasn't just how it was rendered. Sometimes yeah, there's some cases where the joints were a bit off, and the way it trying to turn was not great, and you can see here. And yeah, I will get into how yeah, my rigging skills weren't exactly so great, because I think I was trying to juggle this alongside other projects. And if you're wondering, no, I did not go out and about much. If anything, yeah, I don't want to be too sad into go sorry go too sad into no go too deep into sad territory. But yeah, I was just well, I suppose did just see the other family members every now and again, but no, I didn't get out much. And yeah, I was just all work and no fun during college, university. So, but yeah, anyway, yeah, I think that was yeah, I think that's enough context to explain that. um, yeah, like I did try and spend as much time on this as possible, and I think if I probably had like a couple of more weeks, maybe would have. Oh, I don't know, like well, I think there's some bits I probably would have attempted to fix more so, like the feet actually touching the ground and making the arms a bit more purposeful during some of these parts, um, but even then, yeah, I think the weird way the joints were going, yeah, I think yeah, like I said, yeah, there were problems with the rig itself. Even when showing this to my university lecturer, he was like, "Oh yeah, I can tell this like rig is faulty." So yeah, even if despite the lack of practice, yeah, I can see nothing quite right there. Yeah, because I think because we were given this rig's file, and then I think I personally created the environment around it so it saves moving the rig into another setting, which I think could have been quite tricky. I wonder if that's what the others did, and that's why the rig ended up being in declusion as well. But if I kept it in the same setting, then maybe that's why. And also, I keep getting bothered by the way it's rendered. It looks like it's shot on IMAX with the two black bars. So I don't know what's happened, but it's not 100% HD. I can somewhat tell. But also, yeah, after looping this loads and loads of times, um, um, yeah. So the premise. Once again, after learning not to go or not to be too ambitious with with how too much I gave myself in the first animation brief, Pixel vs Ragefire. But yeah, since then I have gone for far more adjustable premises, or at least not giving myself too much to do. And granted, there are like parts like the title sequence which had quite a lot, but not to mention that was me giving myself um, I guess enough at the time, but only to be told, oh, you have to have rotoscoping in there, and that's why I was like, oh gosh, which did make it a bit tight. But anyway, that you saw how that paid off. But in here, so yeah, so if using the rig and the premise, what's the premise? And yeah, I just thought, go for something a bit more straightforward, and I'd have gone for an obstacle course. And just looking back, I kind of regretted it. I should have had it go on maybe like a dog walk or something. Oh, I would have had to create a dog. Could be like a robot dog. That could be easy. But yeah, it's just as simple as turning up the stairs under the thing and then win the trophy. So it's weirdly abstract. And I think yeah, I think looking back, it was definitely one of the more inferior um, 3D animations of the lot because yeah, first oh gosh, I think a lot of my projects were far more worse compared to like the others. Definitely Rage Pixel vs Ragefire. That was a disaster. The TV sequence one is quite easily done, so that didn't work either. I think other people's music videos, even if they didn't complete the entirety of the tracks, at least some of the visuals are quite nice from time to time. Far more professional compared to my input. I would just say everyone else in the group chat everyone else in the group done very rather well with the music video, but yeah, I think I should have been a lot better. Then the stop motion one is fine. Yeah, then that one holds up. The title sequence, I could probably confidently say that it was probably the most ambitious and yeah, just far more creative. Although my sword, I think, was everyone else did far better as well. Like you should have seen the kind of weapons everyone else was modelling. Even someone once made a cartoon airship, and that was so cool. And what else is there? Even my final project, I think that's down the middle. It's fine, but no. But yeah, anyway, yeah, like I said, yeah, it's not just the premise lacking in this animation. It is just not done too well. I just remembered it's animating a camera as well, and there's some of the camera parts I kind of like. Also, I just spotted a weird. Oh, hello. Oh my gosh, I think the ground lowered a bit. Unless did the wall rise a bit? What happened then? I'm not sure. Anyway, and but yeah, this is meant to. I guess maybe it's like meant to be like grass despite being a wall, or maybe it could be like fake grass. Oh, that was a tree as well. But yeah, I think it's just far too simple. Yeah, not just in its look, but how it's designed as well. Like I knew that I was trying to struggle with bits and bobs, but come on, I probably should have gone simpler and just looked like I didn't learn my lesson. Yeah, it's just also worth mentioning that this animation I often forget because of how um just how like inferior it is. And yeah, I think it's definitely like on FD, my ranking video. Yeah, I'm not joking. Yeah, I think that's where I placed it. So yeah, and I was going to say something as well. Oh yeah, other people's premises. A couple of them did like a horror approach, which was kind of cool. No one had a fun one of flipping pancakes or nearly getting attacked by a living pie, or just so much like more creative premises. And I think looking back, I think this one had more space compared to because they, as you know, their data sequence and 3D modeling we had to do simultaneously. Even the final project and the VR stuff we had to do simultaneously, but not this. So, oh gosh, yeah, maybe I did have a lot at the time, because I remember doing one brief after another at a point where I never really spent time on any of my own like creative projects and stuff. Yeah, because there's like a small in between between college and uni, and I remember thinking, oh yeah, I won't be able to get back to this now that uni starting. And as you know, that's where I came up with the first version of the Haphazard story before that started to get updated, and yeah, it's officially ended this year. Rest in peace. But that's where the reboot should bring it to like a new era, hopefully a far more successful one. And so yeah, I think shall we? Yeah, let's go from bit by bit in this animation itself. So first shot to kind of see the setting and the grass. I don't know why it keeps going back at the end. I think that's a rendering problem. So there goes the walking. Oh yeah, here's the. I knew there's something else. Rigging. I think we're just trying to. I think because of how it like you move and rotating things about a bit like like any other like Maya asset, but rigs are just so more complicated because it's just having to move the body and move all the joints and do a lot of things simultaneously as well. But other than that, and I remember like a couple of other attempts and practices during during university, like, but I don't think anyone created any rigs. Like, I may have not seen any of my university projects, well, as in the what the others' work looked like, but I don't think anyone went for rigs. And yeah, I think they can just be that tricky and time consuming to not only make but try and apply them as well. And yeah, I say someone has thought about it, it's that maybe a couple of experiments I've got, I might post them. I'll have to have a think. Because I have to be careful what I'm uploading, especially with trying to release the temporary set of videos followed by the final set, which is the animations. I'll be making as many as I can. And so yeah, rigging. Yeah, no one else did it rather. Yeah, it's that hard. Yeah, it's just a real shame as well. Like, imagine if we were either taught more or rigging was like far more easier. I could have created like a whole heap of really cool things. Yeah, it's just a shame. Never mind. Yeah, personal projects. Remember those in my uni? They wanted to do like their own like little things, and my tutor's like, you got your thing that will determine the grade of your whole university. So maybe you could do with putting that passion in towards that, or just simply get on with it more. And I just remember the only person being like, because other than make like little notes for whenever I'm ready to get back on my story stuff, that they would, I was just, these were the kind of like the only films I was making. Just the ones for these briefs. Anyway, sorry, that's a lot of rambling. Let's go on to the specifics. So if you have walk cycle from this shot, then you can see she's turning, and you can see the legs are really mixed up. It looks like she's preparing herself to go on the thing, which is not too bad of an arm movement, but it's not very natural. Even this walk cycle was kind of okay, but the legs get skew-if, and then yeah, I think just the shoulders are moving, and then it looks like it's going really slow motion, and it's just like one of those cases where you just sort of fall forward, and then you can see how the steps are being made and how I've tried my best to avoid the block to make it look like she's climbing, and interactive with it, and it's like a let's see, about a 4 out of 10. Yeah, just the interact. Yeah, because it looks. I don't think she's phasing through. I think I must have been that careful, unless there's moments like here. Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, there's no audio at all for this animation. Yeah, it was. Not everyone did, because of the time and that. Yeah, even someone did like some far more clever like editing and other tricks as well. So yeah, maybe I should have been a bit more inventive in that regard. Yeah, not to mention, it looks like she's trying to give herself a challenge by just climbing the steps without needing to use her hands. But yeah, that just looks really awkward. Yeah, she should use the arms to like maintain a balance, but that doesn't look like maintaining the balance. Also, is her eyes closed? Oh, uh, oh no, no, they're not closed. The pupils in some of our rigs, or just the eyes, they don't glow white as they should, so they do look strangely grey. Yeah, because you just blinked again now. Yeah, I think I've tried to be a bit more dynamic by trying to have a blink every now and again, but these blinks were too slow. Oh yeah, this jump was awkward because it's having to like it should arc from the top and then to the ground, but instead she's like done a super it's like a speed boost and then jumps. It's like with those memes, glitch in real life. It's like one of those like oh. Uh, it's yeah, it's so that jump was too sudden. Hopefully I can. Oh yeah, there goes that flexible. Yeah, that's too sudden, and she didn't even touch the ground, so she just yeah, the going down to the ground is too slow. Yeah, no proper interaction. Arms still look awkward, and even though the way she bends, the way she bends downwards is also too quick. And yeah, you can see how the rig is. That is, her body should be a bit more straight. I think that was another problem with the rig as well. Like that doesn't look right. Looks like she's stuck in a yoga position as she's crawling. Although we'll just see what the rest of it's like. So, oh yeah, there you go. I can move about like this. Oh sweet, yeah, I can go slowly. So, so I bent the knees. So that's something. But like yeah, it's just I think yeah, this asset was just not easy to move. I think that's why it got a bit weird. So yeah, she didn't touch the ground properly. Yeah, arms are weird and the knees touch, but I think she stretched a bit too much. And before, yeah, maybe I stretched her a bit so the crawling part was easier. But yeah, look at that, she's too stretched. But this crawling, I think her hand probably goes through the ground. I can't really tell actually, because sometimes the fingers are too small to see. But I feel like she's also. I think she's sliding a bit too much as well, or maybe not. No, maybe I don't know. Maybe like skidding through ice, but that's not how you interact with the ground. But I think this part is slightly better compared to earlier. So yeah, she goes under the arch, and even the elbows and knees have enough of a bend to them, so at least that's okay. And then it goes around and then she fetches the trophy. And that's like the weird thing about being abstract, there's no crowd, no playground will just have a trophy line anywhere. And it's not like an Indiana Jones tomb either. So yeah, I don't know, this is like abstract in ways which I don't like. And yeah, even this interaction right there, I kind of like. I think this is probably the best part because you can kind of see, it's assuming it's like a light object, and yeah, I think I don't think it's going through. Maybe a little, I'm not sure. But yeah, just like bend around enough, and yeah, she managed to pick it up. And is the way she got up? I think it's a tad bit of a cheat because she's hidden but I still quite like that shot anyway. And you also you can see once again that her eyes, you can't see her pupils and that. It looks like she's completely lost her eyes. Yeah, and but I keep thinking she looks like she's blinking. She has like eyeshadow, but no. Um, but yeah. Um, but yeah, I just really like that part. Yeah, I think that's probably the best part of the animation. Yeah, all the assets are also extremely basic, but then he just had this podium, and I think the trophy at one point was like in the middle, but I think I put it on the edge to make it easy to grab hold of, to which is fair. I don't know, should have been like a thinner podium instead. Even the design of the trophy is not too bad. How did I? In fact, can I see? I can see like, unless it's a shadow, I can see like sometimes when you delete or shift around the wrong faces of a shape or glitch into like a um, it will just like look fuzzy because it's not a proper material that can be reflected. Because at least with the ambient occlusion, you can see where the light is being hit and there's some shadow, but this could be happening here because it's not always easy to make these kind of loops around objects. Maybe with an extruding tool, but even then, that's having to tie the other end properly. Yeah, and I like the tree. Looks like the circle slightly bent. I'm not sure how I did that. Although some shapes you can summon and then interact with, so maybe I think it was that. And so, oh yeah, camera shots. So, just watch the camera work. So, I think that first shot was a bit too quick, and it moving a little bit there. It's not great. And whilst I like that shift here, that's not great either. But then you get some kind of clarity what's happening here, and then yeah, that's a good time to cut. Because for those who are editing, every cut should reveal a new piece of information, and whether it's an action or words, and yeah, so yeah, just cutting with purpose. And sorry, I keep having these things happen to me. Anyway, and then another shot might be a bit. The speed of it's okay. Oh, I don't know. It's just because you can't. Because you have to be like more busy at camera because you can't really have it move slowly and then zoom around. It's something I subjectively like, and it could have worked if it was like a slow motion thing, but no. Even the camera's moving a bit, it should be still rather than just moving about a bit because it just looks like handheld. So to zoom in like that and then go across, I can see it working, but it would need to be done better. Just more of a arc shape. But yeah, it looks like it's done like a bit of a U-turn. So yeah, so I think if being really fussy about the camera work, it's not not professional, but at the same time, don't have like the camera swirling around or nothing that seems like majorly off, nothing that would bother. So yeah, I think that's how to describe the camera. It does what it needed to show in that, but it's just not too professional. But yeah, I think that pretty much reaches the end of it. So yeah, I feel like Pixel Vs. Rage Fire is better than this because at least it has like a from premise and some imagination. But in here, you can just definitely tell it's just extremely by the books. Having a faulty asset that's not your own, is not helpful. And yeah, assets are mostly plain. Some of the movements not great. Only a couple of highlights for both the camera and a couple of moments with the movement. Having no sound and music doesn't help either. No interesting effects in that. Yeah, it's just extremely mundane. And yeah, I think to this day I just kind of use this as like the closest I've got to a using a rig because yes, there are like other 3D characters animated, but they were made in parts that were all parented, and even if that had its limitations, it kind of worked. And I remember thinking, when trying to go back into 3D, that's something I could do again, but that method wasn't working again. Because weirdly, sometimes when you parent a shape, it sometimes bends or stretches. It doesn't stick to the shape it should. Which is this is what like one of my major pet peeves in when trying to do 3D. But yeah, this looking at this, it just feels like an absolute relic. I just don't know what to make of it. Although on like I I don't know. I've already talked about how this is possibly the worst animation in the class. Yeah, because there was my class and then there was another class, and I felt like they'd do better too. But anyway, shall I? Yeah, I think we'll move on to the next part of the presentation. Okay, so because you can't really like interact with 3D, you can always view them on YouTube, but they have to be stills like this, which is slightly unfortunate, but never mind. Okay, so I'm because of how like tense and on edge I was, especially when trying to complete the final project alongside doing this VR thing. I don't quite remember the events and what happened, and I feel like because I've recorded the ranking video ahead of some of these commentaries, so I just hope I haven't caused any contradictions. Although I'll try and be as accurate as possible. But one thing for sure is that this I was somewhat making in my own time, especially because unlike I think I was a bit ahead of the final group project compared to the others, which I kind of see as a bad thing because I just rushed and completed it to a decent enough stage, and then I just thought I'm just going to go all in with the VR stuff. And yeah, because we were in groups when doing this VR one. And so yeah, it was quite hard for everyone to make sure their final project was finished alongside trying to do this VR one. And yeah, this VR one, because when looking at the others, a lot of the settings were actually quite small, which is quite sensible actually, because you don't want to be too ambitious when you're trying to do your final project, which is meant to be like the biggest deal. And what else? Oh yeah, I also remember. Yeah, for those who had extensions of the assignments, there were some that had to borrow like multiple computers to render multiple scenes at once, which is a good idea. Thankfully, it worked for many individuals. Anyway. Because we were taught some lessons, how to do a couple of VR basics, the full 3D image, and this is a I want to call it it's a type of light, but it's reminiscent of the sun, and you can like change it depending on the the time of day you want to go for. But yeah, because unlike the university VR project, they had like a lot of bits and bobs added to it. Not just VR parts, but just able to create new scenes and other like effects, and also just applying parts to a VR rendered image as well. That was extremely like quite a step up. So we were really taught a couple of basics, and then that was it. But yeah, I think what because once I felt like I was finished with the final group project, which is the War and Beast film. Yeah, I mainly spent the time, doing like all sorts of assets, and I've somewhat like created, like actually seen a lot of assets just so that there's a lot of variety and a lot to use. Like it's definitely assets I can definitely carry over and give to my group, whenever they're ready to go. Because it was another one of the group who had the setting himself, and he was like, "Yes, give me the assets." And because once the others had more time and space, now their final projects were done. It's weird how I call it final. What final animations you could say, and then this was the last thing at college ever. And so as you can see, I created a nice straightforward setting, and and a couple of buildings as well. All of them, as far as I can see, they do have quite a nice amount of detail. Definitely better than my buildings, because as you'll see in the render, you can probably see parts like broken glass, which is like reflective, and and just a whole heap of like rubble everywhere, and a load of objects as well. And there's some moments I can also see as well, like that's a lighthouse, and then those are traffic lights as well. So I quite like those parts, and that's meant to be lava, by the way, which looks okay at first glance, but you can see that it's just a texture with lights added to it. And yeah, I think with maybe more lights it could look better, but even then. But yeah, I feel like having a good look at it, yeah, because yeah, it's just filled with so they bring with assets. But what um, but I will say our final one is still much better here, which is also explained in the animation rankings, as far as I can deter. It's because there's some of the assets are far more professionally made. Those cars are absolutely fantastic as well, and yeah, like even the lighting's better, and yeah, just and some of the buildings as well. I think if we were given like I don't know another week or two, maybe it could have been like more of a full city. Oh yeah, it's a apocalyptic city by the way. Um, but even yeah, it's just this one does feel more professional, whilst mine well just a collection of assets. Because I remember some people thinking, oh, gosh, you're not doing all the work for us, are you? And I was just like, oh no, I am just like, having fun and messing around. All of these assets I can always, give to you, and it's like a smaller scale project, so yeah, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, I think that's what I tried to clarify with them. But yeah, regardless, yeah, and I think what assets of mine carried over, maybe like a couple of lampposts and that, and yeah, I think a couple of these small items were placed here. But yeah, it just it's rendering the image, placing all the objects, then final render, and then submission. So yeah, if this was like all done in a week, yeah, I think this is actually like rather good for a week. Yeah. Also, something I just noticed, I can see this black area here. That's a where the sky's limit almost. Yeah, so it's just having to try and hide the horizon. Yeah, because I'm not sure if I've hit the horizon. I might see some bits here, but I can see more so here. But yeah, although it could look like additional land, especially if it was like higher up um, here. Um, so yeah, what to think of this one? Yeah, this is just extremely tiny compared to the VR thing. So yeah, like I said, we'll taught lessons on the VR basics, and we thought they were fine. And we were even taught a couple of animated moments actually. Like a wall of animated stuff, and that I didn't really get familiar of until the VR stuff came along at university. So yeah, so none of us had animated surfaces like that. It was just stills. And not to mention when it came to like the showcase fair, which was the definitive final day, with these settings we put for had looked for a headset, and yeah, it was kind of cool. And did I? Yeah, because it would have been seeing that one. I've seen what my VR the uni project was like with the headset, but this one, I feel like I have somewhere. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's just some basics and me just creating, a lot of assets at the time, and just a couple of bits to be familiar of, just giving myself, just enough familiarity as possible. And yeah, it did help with like the tension as all of these due dates were studying going by. But then once the week came along and everyone was all in, yeah, we were able to like create the lot easily, and give the assets to the group. And so yeah, I think that's that's that in a nutshell. Yeah, you can see how this is like just quite small, and yeah, because you wouldn't think that VR would ever play like parts in animation because it's maybe more of a gaming thing. But as stated in my university, there are like more VR innovations that are coming around. So yeah, because if animation, is experimental with all of these bits and bobs anyway, then yeah, can see why. And so yeah, I think I'll just stop right there. I like both of them quite well, and VR is something I've like thought about like a couple of times, but without my I kind of can't participate in it. Yeah, does Blender even allow it? I'm not sure, but regardless, yeah, I just can't get 3D anymore because without being a student, yeah, these 3D softwares are extremely expensive, and because I'm already paying one Adobe software, which is already just enough, for the budget I have to stick to. But it's a decent budget, and I'm making something a very like dynamic anyway. Yeah, without the need for VR. Maybe in another timeline, or maybe in the future, I could then go onto VR and come up with all sorts of different VR experiences. But yeah, I think only time will tell with that one. But yeah, for now, I'm just going to stick to my own innovative animations, and it's something I'm consistently good at. Nice and quick, benefits both algorithms and also just like my current life routine as well. But anyway, yeah, stuff like that, and so yeah, we'll just start right there, I think. And yeah, I mean, I already said, yeah, I do like looking at them both. Yeah, they're both rather good, and that's yeah, let's just start with there, and yeah, I'll see you next time.